Well, this is something different for our first spooky season episode. I've chosen a classic story called The Monkey's Paw by W. W. Jacobs. Originally published in 1902, it has all the makings of a great scary story. So let's just dive right into it. In the first paragraph, we are introduced to the White family. There's a dad, a mom, their son Herbert, and their daughter Mabel. And we're told that they're a very ordinary, not particularly wealthy family living in an ordinary house on an ordinary street. And it's just an ordinary day in their lives. They're sitting around the dinner table talking about random things when suddenly there's a knock at the door. And when Dad goes to answer it, he comes back in with an old, shriveled-up monkey paw. He tells his family that it was just some sailor who came to the door claiming that he found this monkey paw in the East Indies, and that if you make a wish upon it, it will come true. But the sailor warned them that sometimes the monkey's paw doesn't give you exactly what you wish for. Dad tells the family that it's probably just some sailor's tall tale, but then Mom asks, well, what harm would it do just to try? And so they decide to keep the monkey's paw as a memento, although Dad isn't really keen on the idea. The next day, while Dad's out at work, Mom and the kids are messing around with the monkey's paw trying to figure out how to use it. And eventually they decide to wrap it in a bit of cloth and bury it under the hearth rug. Then they all go off and do their own thing. Shortly after, Dad comes home from work and tells the family that he got a raise and that they can finally afford to buy a new piano for Mabel. This, of course, is very exciting, but also a little suspicious since he had sworn to never ask for money or anything like that. But they all agree to just let it go and chalk it up to coincidence. After this, the family pretty much forgets about the monkey's paw until one night when Herbert sneaks out of his room and grabs the monkey's paw from under the rug. See, he's been eyeing the fancy motor car that his friend Thomas has been driving around lately, and so he decides to make a wish to have that same motor car. The next day at breakfast, sure enough, the family finds that they have the exact motor car that Herbert wished for sitting in the driveway. Again, they're all pretty shocked, but they figure that Herbert must have gotten a lucky break somehow, and once again, they all agree to just forget about the monkey's paw. However, a few days later, Dad comes home to find the monkey's paw in his pocket. Turns out Herbert grabbed it while Dad wasn't looking, wishing for the 20,000 pounds that Thomas's father had lost in a recent business deal. The family is astounded to find that the wish had come true, but they quickly grow suspicious of one another, believing that one of them must have used the monkey's paw to steal the money. It's a pretty good mystery with plenty of red herrings. And to be honest, I do not think I could spoil it even if I wanted to, because it's actually a pretty clever solution. But I will say this, it has nothing to do with the monkey's paw. And so the moral of the story is, of course, that you should never ever meddle with forces that you do not understand. And that, my friends, is the story of the monkey's paw. I hope you enjoyed this special Halloween episode. If you did, please leave a like. And if you want to hear more spooky stories this season, subscribe to stay up to date on all things spooky. And until next time, remember, I shot first.